Unexpected inheritance. Jake Anderson wiped the sweat from his brow as he tightened the last bolt on the ancient air conditioning unit. The scorching summer heat of Detroit seemed to mock his efforts, but he couldn't afford to give up. At 28, Jake was barely scraping by as a freelance engineer, taking whatever odd jobs he could find to keep his head above water. As he packed up his tools, his phone buzzed. Jake fished it out of his pocket, frowning at the unfamiliar number. "Hello. Is this Jake Anderson?" a crisp, professional voice asked. "Yeah, that's me. This is Larissa Chen from Galactic Horizons law firm. I'm calling regarding the estate of your uncle, Xavier Anderson." Jake's frown deepened. He barely remembered Uncle Xavier, a distant relative who'd vanished into the stars when Jake was just a kid. "My uncle. I haven't heard from him in years." "I understand, Mr. Anderson. However, your uncle has recently passed away, and you are the sole beneficiary of his estate. We need you to come to our offices as soon as possible to discuss the details of your inheritance." Jake's mind reeled. Inheritance? He'd been living paycheck to paycheck for so long that the concept seemed almost alien. Sure. When do you need me there?" "How does tomorrow at 10 a.m. sound? Our offices are located in the Stellar Tower downtown." Jake agreed, his head spinning. As he drove home in his beat-up truck, he couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to change dramatically. The next morning, Jake found himself in a sleek, modern office that screamed expensive. Larissa Chen, a sharp-looking lawyer in her 40s, greeted him with a firm handshake. "Mr. Anderson, thank you for coming. Please have a seat." She gestured to a plush chair across from her desk. "I know this must be overwhelming, so let me get straight to the point. Your uncle, Xavier Anderson, was the founder and CEO of Cosmic Innovations, one of the largest interstellar trading companies in the galaxy." Jake's jaw dropped. "I'm sorry, did you say Interstellar?" Larissa nodded, her expression serious. "Yes, Mr. Anderson. Your uncle was a pioneer in establishing trade relations with various alien civilizations. Cosmic Innovations has outposts on over 30 different worlds." "But how is that possible? I mean, we haven't even colonized Mars yet." "Mr. Anderson, there's a lot about our universe that the general public isn't aware of. Your uncle was at the forefront of secret diplomatic missions that established first contact with alien races. He built his company on the foundation of those relationships." Jake leaned back, feeling like he'd stepped into a sci-fi novel. "Okay, so my uncle was some kind of secret space tycoon. What does that have to do with me?" Larissa slid a thick folder across the desk. "Everything, Mr. Anderson. Your uncle has left you his entire estate, including full ownership and control of Cosmic Innovations." The words hit Jake like a physical blow. "You've got to be kidding me." "I assure you, this is no joke. You are now one of the wealthiest individuals in the galaxy, with assets spread across multiple star systems." Jake leafed through the folder, his eyes widening at the strings of zeros on the financial statements. This is insane. Why me? I barely knew him." Larissa's expression softened slightly. "Your uncle kept tabs on you over the years, Mr. Anderson. He was impressed by your perseverance and ingenuity, even in the face of financial hardship. He believed you had the potential to take his company to even greater heights." Jake ran a hand through his hair, feeling completely out of his depth. "I don't know the first thing about running a company, let alone an alien one." "Your uncle anticipated that. He's arranged for you to have a personal assistant, an alien named Selora from the planet Zircon 9. She'll help you navigate both the company and the complex web of interstellar politics." "An alien assistant," Jake muttered. "Sure, why not?" Larissa leaned forward, her tone serious. "Mr. Anderson, I need you to understand the gravity of this situation. Cosmic Innovations isn't just a company, it's a linchpin in maintaining peace between Earth and numerous alien civilizations. The trade agreements your uncle established have kept potential conflicts at bay for years." The weight of responsibility settled on Jake's shoulders like a lead blanket. "So, no pressure or anything." There's one more thing, Larissa added. To fully claim your inheritance and take control of the company, you'll need to travel to Zircon 9 and complete a series of trials set up by your uncle. It's unconventional, but it was his final wish. Jake laughed, a slightly hysterical edge to it. Trials? On an alien planet, this just keeps getting better and better. I know it's a lot to take in, Mr. Anderson, but your uncle believed in you. He saw something special, a spark that could ignite a new era of human-alien cooperation. Jake stared out the window at the Detroit skyline, his mind racing. Just yesterday, he'd been worried about making rent. Now, he was being offered the keys to a galactic empire. It was terrifying, exhilarating, and completely insane. He turned back to Larissa, a determined glint in his eye. All right, when do I leave for Zircon 9? Larissa smiled, relief evident in her expression. A ship will be ready for you in 3 days. Pack light, you'll find everything you need waiting for you on Zircon 9. As Jake left the office, his head spinning with visions of alien worlds and interstellar trade deals, he couldn't help but feel a mixture of excitement and trepidation. His life had changed forever in the span of a single meeting. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever trials his uncle had prepared, Jake was determined to face them head-on. Little did he know that his journey to Zircon 9 would not only test his limits, but also thrust him into the center of a galactic conspiracy that threatened the delicate balance between humans and aliens. As he stepped out into the bustling streets of Detroit, Jake Anderson had no idea that the fate of multiple worlds would soon rest in his hands. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation and farewells. Jake tied up loose ends, said goodbye to the few friends he had, and tried to wrap his head around the idea of leaving Earth. On the morning of his departure, he found himself standing on a hidden launch pad outside the city, staring up at a sleek spacecraft that looked nothing like the clunky NASA shuttles he'd seen on TV. A tall, thin man in a crisp uniform approached. "Mr. Anderson, I'm Captain Reeves. I'll be piloting you to Zircon 9. Jake shook the man's hand, still feeling like he was in a dream. "Nice to meet you, Captain. I guess this is really happening, huh?" Reeves smiled. "Oh, it's happening all right. Better strap in, Mr. Anderson. You're in for one hell of a ride." As the ship broke through Earth's atmosphere and the blue sky faded to the star-studded blackness of space, Jake realized that his old life was truly behind him. Whatever lay ahead on Zircon 9, there was no turning back now. The adventure of a lifetime was just beginning. Alien encounters. The gleaming spires of Zircon 9's capital city, Luminora, stretched towards the purple sky as Jake's ship descended through the planet's atmosphere. His eyes widened at the sight of floating buildings connected by shimmering energy bridges, and vehicles that looked like liquid metal zipping between them. "Holy cow," Jake muttered, his face pressed against the viewport. "I feel like I've stepped into a video game." Captain Reeves chuckled from the pilot's seat. "Trust me, kid, this is as real as it gets. Welcome to your new home." As the ship touched down on a crystal landing pad, Jake's stomach churned with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. The airlock hissed open, and he took his first breath of alien air. It tasted faintly of cinnamon and ozone. "Mr. Anderson," a melodic voice called out. Jake turned to see a tall, slender figure approaching. Her skin was a shimmering blue-green, like the surface of a tropical ocean. Instead of hair, delicate tendrils that looked like fiber-optic cables cascaded from her head, pulsing with soft light. Her eyes, large and almond-shaped, were a deep violet. "I am Sellara," she said, bowing slightly. "Your uncle appointed me as your personal assistant and guide to Zircon 9. Welcome to our world." Jake stared, momentarily speechless. He'd tried to prepare himself for meeting aliens, but nothing could have readied him for the ethereal beauty of Sellara. "Hi," he managed, mentally kicking himself for sounding so eloquent. "I'm Jake, but I guess you knew that already." Selara's lips curved into a smile. "Indeed. Come, we have much to discuss, and your first trial awaits. As they walked towards a hovering transport, Jake couldn't help but notice the curious stares from other aliens. Some looked vaguely humanoid, while others were so bizarre he could barely comprehend their forms. "So, what's this trial thing all about?" Jake asked as they boarded the transport. Larissa mentioned it back on Earth, but she was pretty vague on the details. Selara's expression turned serious. "Your uncle believed that to truly understand and lead cosmic innovations, you needed to experience the challenges of interstellar trade firsthand. He designed a series of trials to test your problem-solving skills, adaptability, and leadership potential." The transport zipped through the city, giving Jake dizzying glimpses of alien life. Street markets filled with impossible fruits and shimmering fabrics. Holographic billboards advertising products he couldn't even begin to understand. "Your first trial," Selara continued, "involves negotiating a trade deal with the Volux, a notoriously difficult species known for their complex social hierarchies and labyrinthine customs." Jake swallowed hard. "Negotiating? With aliens? I can barely haggle at a flea market." Selara's tendrils pulsed with amusement. "Your uncle believed in throwing you into the deep end, as you humans say. But don't worry, I'll be there to guide you. Just remember, with the Volux, every gesture, every word choice matters. One misstep could offend them deeply." "Great," Jake muttered. "No pressure or anything." The transport came to a stop outside a towering structure that seemed to be made of living crystal. As they stepped out, Jake noticed a group of aliens waiting for them. The Volux, he assumed, looked like a cross between praying mantises and jellyfish, with iridescent exoskeletons and long, flowing tentacles. "Ready for your first trial, Mr. Anderson?" Selara asked, a hint of challenge in her voice. Jake took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders. "As ready as I'll ever be. Let's do this." As they approached the Volux delegation, Jake felt a strange tingling sensation at the base of his skull. Suddenly, the alien language being spoken around him began to make sense. "Whoa," he whispered to Selara. "How can I understand them?" "Neural translator," she murmured back. "Standard issue for all cosmic innovations executives. It was implanted while you were in transit." Before Jake could process this new piece of information, the lead Volux stepped forward, its tentacles writhing in what Jake hoped was a greeting. "Welcome, heir of Anderson," the alien's voice reverberated in Jake's mind. "We are most curious to see if you are worthy of your predecessor's legacy. Shall we begin the dance of negotiation?" Jake glanced at Selara, who gave him an encouraging nod. He turned back to the Volux, plastering on his most confident smile. "I'm ready. Let the dance begin." What followed was the most intense and surreal experience of Jake's life. The negotiation wasn't just a verbal exchange, but a complex ritual involving synchronized movements, precise tonal shifts, and even the manipulation of bioluminescent patterns on the Volux exoskeletons. Jake stumbled through the early stages, acutely aware of every mistake, but as the hours wore on, something clicked. He began to see patterns in the Volux behavior, anticipating their responses and adjusting his approach accordingly. By the time the dance concluded, Jake was exhausted but exhilarated. The leadVolux's tentacles twisted into what Jake now recognized as an expression of approval. "Most impressive, young Anderson," the alien intoned. "You have much to learn, but we sense great potential in you. The trade agreement is sealed." As they left the crystal building, Selara's tendrils were pulsing with excitement. "That was remarkable, Jake. I've never seen anyone adapt to Volux customs so quickly. You've passed your first trial with flying colors." Jake grinned, feeling a surge of confidence. "Thanks. I guess all those years of playing strategy games finally paid off." Selara laughed, a sound like tinkling crystals. "Perhaps, but don't let this success go to your head. The trials will only get more challenging from here." As if on cue, Jake's newly implanted neural interface chimed. A holographic message appeared before his eyes, displaying the details of his next trial. His eyes widened as he read. Ah, Zelara. This next one says something about quantum entanglement diplomacy with a species that exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Please tell me that's a joke. Zelara's lips curved into a mischievous smile. Welcome to the world of interstellar trade, Jake. I hope you're ready for a crash course in interdimensional physics. As they boarded the transport to their next destination, Jake couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of his situation. Just days ago, he'd been fixing air conditioners in Detroit. Now he was negotiating with aliens and preparing for interdimensional diplomacy. One thing was certain: life as the heir to cosmic innovations was going to be anything but boring. As Luminora's alien skyline whizzed by, Jake felt a thrill of excitement. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he was ready to face them head-on. Little did he know that his newfound confidence would soon be put to the ultimate test, as dark forces within cosmic innovations were already plotting to undermine his position and throw the delicate balance of interstellar peace into chaos. Corporate intrigue. The holographic display in Jake's luxurious penthouse suite flickered to life, projecting a three-dimensional star map of cosmic innovations' trade routes. Jake rubbed his tired eyes, trying to make sense of the complex network of glowing lines connecting various alien worlds. Quantum flux anomalies detected in Sector 7, an AI voice chimed, highlighting a cluster of systems in pulsating red. Jake groaned. Zelara, what exactly is a quantum flux anomaly, and why should I care? Zelara's bioluminescent tendrils rippled with concern as she studied the map. It's a disruption in the fabric of spacetime that can affect our hyperlane trade routes. If left unchecked, it could destabilize our entire logistics network. Great, Jake muttered. Just another day in the exciting world of interstellar commerce. As Jake pondered their next move, a sleek alien creature that looked like a cross between a cat and a squid slithered into the room. Zix, Jake's recently acquired alien pet, curled around his ankles, emitting a soothing purr that sounded oddly like wind chimes. Suddenly, the penthouse's security system blared to life. Warning: unauthorized data access detected. Firewall breach in progress. Jake leaped to his feet, adrenaline coursing through his veins. We're being hacked. How is that even possible with our quantum encryption? Zelara's fingers danced across a holographic keyboard, her expression grim. This is no ordinary hack, Jake. They're using some kind of techno-organic virus I've never seen before. It's adapting to our defenses faster than I can patch them. Jake's mind raced. In the weeks since he'd arrived on Zircon 9, he'd faced countless challenges, but nothing like this. Can you trace the source? Zelara shook her head, frustration evident in her glowing eyes. They're bouncing the signal through multiple dimensions. It's like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. As alarms blared and systems flickered around them, Jake felt a strange calm settle over him. This was what his uncle had prepared him for, thinking on his feet in impossible situations. Zelara, what if we fight fire with fire? Or in this case, virus with virus? Her tendrils pulsed with curiosity. What do you mean? Jake grinned, an idea taking shape. Remember that Volux biocomputer we acquired last week? The one that uses organic algorithms. What if we unleashed it on our own systems? Zelara's eyes widened. That's insane. It could destroy everything. Or, Jake countered, it could adapt faster than the invading virus, creating a kind of digital immune system. For a moment, Zelara hesitated. Then, seeing the determination in Jake's eyes, she nodded. It's risky, but it might be our only chance. With trembling fingers, Jake activated the Volux device. The room filled with an otherworldly hum as organic circuitry merged with cosmic innovation's quantum networks. For several tense minutes, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the alarms fell silent. The holographic displays stabilized, showing the virus being systematically eradicated. Jake let out a whoop of triumph, high-fiving Zelara, a human custom she'd grown quite fond of. We did it. But their celebration was short-lived. As the systems came back online, a hidden message flashed across the screen. You may have won this round, Anderson, but the ShadowNet Syndicate won't rest until Cosmic Innovations falls. Watch your back. Jake's blood ran cold. ShadowNet Syndicate. Who the hell are they? Selara's expression darkened. A mysterious organization that's been trying to monopolize interstellar trade for years. Your uncle was their primary obstacle. Now, it seems they've set their sights on you. As the implications sank in, Jake realized that running Cosmic Innovations was more than just navigating alien cultures and complex trade deals. He was now at the center of a galactic conspiracy that threatened everything his uncle had built. So what do we do now? Jake asked, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. Selara's tendrils pulsed with determination. We fight back. But first, we need to gather allies. There's someone you need to meet, an old friend of your uncle's who might be able to help us unravel this conspiracy. Who? Her name is Captain Lyra Zhang. She commands a fleet of interdimensional smugglers known as the Stardust Corsairs. If anyone can help us navigate the shadowy underworld of interstellar politics, it's her. Jake nodded, a mixture of fear and excitement coursing through him. All right then, let's go meet this space pirate captain. As they prepared to leave, Zix the alien cat squid wrapped itself around Jake's shoulders, clearly unwilling to be left behind. Jake chuckled, scratching its tentacled head. Guess you're coming too, buddy. Something tells me we're going to need all the help we can get. Little did Jake know that his journey to meet Captain Zhang would lead him into the heart of a cosmic storm, where the lines between ally and enemy would blur, and the fate of entire civilizations would hang in the balance. The true test of his leadership was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Diplomatic crisis. The Stardust Corsair's flagship, the Nebula Wraith, was unlike anything Jake had ever seen. It shimmered like a mirage, its hull seemingly made of condensed starlight. As Jake, Zelara, and Zix materialized in the ship's teleportation bay, they were greeted by a diverse crew of aliens and humans alike. Captain Lyra Zhang cuffed an imposing figure. Her cybernetic eye glowed with an eerie blue light, and her gravity-defying hair seemed to float around her head like a dark halo. "Welcome aboard, Jake Anderson," she said, her voice a mix of silk and steel. "Your uncle spoke highly of you. Let's hope you live up to his praise." Before Jake could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. A holographic display materialized, showing a massive fleet of ships emerging from hyperspace. "Void-downed ShadowNet," Lyra cursed. "They must have traced your quantum signature. Brace for impact." The ship rocked as energy weapons fire peppered its shields. Jake stumbled, caught off guard by the sudden attack. What do we do? Lyra's cybernetic eye whirred as she assessed the situation. We're outgunned and outnumbered. Our only hope is to make a blind jump through the cerulean vortex. Zelara gasped. The vortex? But that's suicide. No ship has ever successfully navigated it. Then we'll be the first, Lyra growled, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. Hold on to your tentacles, folks. This is gonna get weird. The Nebula Wraith plunged into a swirling maelstrom of blue energy. Reality itself seemed to warp around them, and Jake felt his consciousness stretching across multiple dimensions. Zix, still wrapped around his shoulders, morphed through a series of impossible shapes, mailing in frequencies that shouldn't exist. Just when Jake thought his mind would shatter from the strain, they burst out of the vortex into unknown space. The ship's systems flickered back to life, and a collective sigh of relief echoed through the bridge. "Where are we?" Jake asked, trying to shake off the lingering effects of interdimensional travel. Lyra frowned at the star charts. "According to these readings, we're in the Andromeda Galaxy, specifically in the territorial space of the Zinthar Imperium." Selara's tendrils went pale. The Zinthar? But they've been at war with the Galactic Alliance for centuries. If they catch us here, it could spark an interstellar incident. As if on cue, a massive Zinthar warship decloaked directly in front of them. Its biomechanical hull pulsed with ominous energy, and weapon ports began to glow with building power. Unidentified vessel, a guttural voice boomed over the comms. You have violated Imperium space. Prepare to be boarded and assimilated. Jake's mind raced. They were trapped between the Shadownet Syndicate and a hostile alien empire, with no allies in sight. But as he looked around at the diverse crew of the Nebula Wraith, an idea began to form. Captain Zhang, he said, a plan crystallizing in his mind. You said my uncle spoke highly of me. Did he ever mention my unconventional approach to problem-solving? Lyra raised an eyebrow. He might have mentioned something about thinking outside the box. Why? Jake grinned. Because I think I know how we can turn this disaster into the diplomatic opportunity of a lifetime. What followed was the most audacious gambit in the history of interstellar relations. Using a combination of Cosmic Innovations' trade algorithms, the Stardust Corsair's smuggling expertise, and his own Earthborn creativity, Jake proposed a three-way deal that would benefit all parties. The Zinthar would gain access to rare resources from the Milky Way, the Galactic Alliance would receive advanced Zinthar technology, and Cosmic Innovations would act as the neutral intermediary, ensuring fair trade and preventing future conflicts. As Jake outlined his plan in a tense video conference with Zinthar leaders and hastily contacted Galactic Alliance representatives, he could see the skepticism in their alien eyes slowly give way to intrigue. This is unprecedented, the Zinthar Empress hissed, her compound eyes narrowing. But potentially profitable. The Galactic Alliance Chancellor, a being of pure energy, pulsed with cautious optimism. It could usher in a new era of peace and prosperity for both galaxies. Hours of intense negotiation followed, with Jake drawing on every lesson he'd learned since inheriting Cosmic Innovations. Salara and Lyra provided crucial support, filling in gaps in his knowledge and offering strategic advice. Even Zix played a role, its ever-changing form somehow soothing tensions whenever discussions became heated. Jake made a mental note to give his alien pet an extra special treat if they survived this ordeal. Finally, as the ship's chronometers ticked over to mark a new day, an historic agreement was reached. The Zinthar Alliance Accords, as they would come to be known, promised to revolutionize intergalactic relations. As the last signatures, or telepathic imprints, in some cases, were added to the treaty, Jake slumped in his chair, exhausted but exhilarated. I can't believe it actually worked, he murmured. Lyra clapped him on the back, her cybernetic eye gleaming with approval. Kid, I think you just changed the course of galactic history. Your uncle would be proud. Salara's tendrils pulsed with joy and admiration. That was brilliant, Jake. You've not only saved us, but potentially billions of lives across 2 galaxies. As the reality of what he'd accomplished sank in, Jake felt a mix of pride and trepidation. He'd proven himself capable of navigating the complex world of interstellar politics, but he knew this was just the beginning. The Shadownet Syndicate was still out there, plotting in the shadows, and now, with Cosmic Innovations at the center of this new intergalactic alliance, the target on Jake's back had grown even larger. But as he looked out at the star-filled expanse of the Andromeda Galaxy, with loyal friends at his side and endless possibilities stretching out before him, Jake Anderson knew one thing for certain: he was ready for whatever the universe had in store. Little did he know that his greatest challenge, and the true reason behind his inheritance, was yet to be revealed. As the Nebula Wraith prepared to journey back to the Milky Way, ancient cosmic forces were stirring, setting the stage for a confrontation that would determine the fate of not just 2 galaxies, but the entire multiverse. Galactic Triumph. The cosmic nexus, a swirling vortex of energy at the heart of the Milky Way, pulsed with an otherworldly glow. Jake Anderson stood on the bridge of the Nebula Wraith, his eyes fixed on the mesmerizing spectacle before him. Beside him, Salara's tendrils quivered with a mixture of awe and apprehension. "Are you sure about this, Jake?" Captain Lyra Zhang asked, her cybernetic eye whirring as it analyzed the nexus. Once we cross that threshold, there's no turning back. Jake nodded, his jaw set with determination. We don't have a choice. If what the ancient axiom told us is true, the fate of the entire multiverse hangs in the balance. The past few months had been a whirlwind of discovery and danger. After brokering peace between the Zinthar Imperium and the Galactic Alliance, Jake had uncovered the true nature of his inheritance and the cosmic responsibility that came with it. His uncle, it turned out, had been more than just an interstellar trader. He'd been the guardian of an ancient artifact known as the multiversal keystone, a device capable of stabilizing or destroying the delicate web of realities that made up existence itself. The Shadownet Syndicate, Jake had learned, was merely a pawn in a much larger game. Behind them lurked an entity of unimaginable power, the Void Empress, a being from beyond the boundaries of their universe who sought to collapse all realities into a singularity under her control. Quantum fluctuations are off the charts, Zalara reported, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. The keystone is activating. Jake felt the weight of the multiversal keystone in his pocket, its energy thrumming in sync with the cosmic nexus. This was the moment everything had been leading to. "All right, team," he said, addressing the diverse crew of the Nebula Wraith. "This is what we've prepared for. Lyra, take us in." The ship plunged into the swirling energies of the Nexus. Reality itself seemed to bend and warp around them. Through the viewscreen, Jake caught glimpses of other universes, worlds where history had taken radically different turns, realms of pure energy, dimensions of thought and emotion. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. "Void incursion detected," Zalara shouted. "She's here." A massive shape loomed before them, a writhing mass of darkness that seemed to devour light itself. Tendrils of void energy lashed out, battering the Nebula Wraith's shields. "So, a heir of Anderson dares to challenge me," a voice like the death of stars echoed through their minds. The Void Empress materialized on the bridge, her form a constantly shifting nightmare of teeth and shadows. Jake stood his ground, the keystone glowing brightly in his hand. "This ends now," he declared. "You won't destroy everything we've worked to build." The Empress laughed, a sound that sent shivers through reality itself. "Foolish mortal, you have no idea of the power you're dealing with." She lunged forward, void tendrils snaking towards Jake. But before they could reach him, a blur of motion intercepted the attack. Zix, Jake's loyal alien pet, had transformed into a being of pure light, its ever-changing form now a shield against the darkness. "Now, Jake," Lyra shouted, firing the ship's quantum disruptors at the Empress. "Use the keystone." Jake closed his eyes, focusing on everything he'd learned since inheriting cosmic innovations. The intricacies of interstellar trade, the delicate balance of diplomacy, the interconnectedness of all sapient beings, it all came together in a moment of perfect clarity. He raised the keystone high, its light growing to match the brilliance of the cosmic nexus. "By the power vested in me as guardian of the multiverse," Jake intoned, words of power flowing through him, "I banish you from this realm and all others." The keystone unleashed a wave of pure creation energy, the antithesis of the Void Empress's entropy. She screamed, her form beginning to unravel. "This isn't over, Anderson," she howled as she was drawn back into the spaces between universes. "There will always be darkness." "Perhaps," Jake replied, standing firm as reality reshaped itself around them, "but there will always be light to push it back." With a final, reality-shaking implosion, the Void Empress vanished. The cosmic nexus stabilized, its energies now flowing harmoniously through the multiversal keystone. As the crew of the Nebula Wraith caught their breath, marveling at their survival, Jake felt a profound shift in the fabric of existence. The boundaries between universes had become more permeable, opening up new possibilities for exploration and cooperation. Zalara's tendrils glowed with joy as she embraced Jake. "You did it. You've ushered in a new age for all of creation." Lyra grinned, her cybernetic eye gleaming. "Kid, I think you just put Interstellar Trader to shame. You're a bona fide cosmic hero now." Jake laughed, scratching zicks behind what passed for its ears as the creature returned to its usual enigmatic form. "I couldn't have done it without all of you," he said, looking around at his friends and allies. "So, what do we do now?" As if in answer, the ship's communications system chimed. A holographic display flickered to life, showing representatives from countless alien races, some familiar, others beyond imagination. "Greetings, Guardian of the Keystone," a chorus of voices rang out. "We stand ready to usher in this new era of multiversal cooperation and trade. Will you lead us?" Jake looked to his companions, saw the encouragement in their eyes, and smiled. This was what his uncle had prepared him for, not just to run a company, but to guide entire realities towards a brighter future. "Well," he said, straightening his posture and feeling the weight of his new role settling comfortably on his shoulders, "I guess Cosmic Innovations is about to live up to its name. Let's innovate on a cosmic scale." As the Nebula Wraith turned towards open space, ready to embark on new adventures across the multiverse, Jake Anderson realized that his journey was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. With the multiversal keystone secured, Cosmic Innovations poised to facilitate trade and diplomacy on an unprecedented scale, and a team of loyal friends at his side, Jake was ready to face whatever challenges the infinite realities might throw at him. The stars stretched out before them, each one a gateway to new worlds, new civilizations, and new possibilities. And at the helm of this grand cosmic adventure stood Jake Anderson, no longer just an ordinary guy from Detroit, but the guardian of a multiversal legacy, ready to write the next chapter in the story of creation itself. As they walked into the unknown, Jake couldn't help but smile. Who knew inheriting a galactic trading company would lead to all this? Whatever came next, he was sure it would be one hell of a ride.